I have the honor of introducing today's guest speaker, Jim McCormick of the class of 1986. Jim is an Algiers boy who attended St. Andrew the Apostle before Jesuit. After Jesuit, he decided to remain with the Jesuits at Loyola for a year, and then at Georgetown University, where he eventually earned a degree in English. After Georgetown, he went on to receive a Master of Fine Arts in Poetry from the University of New Orleans. Jim McCormick is many things. He's a poet who has had numerous poems published. He's a guest lecturer at music schools and literary conferences around the globe. He's a scholar who has had many articles published in national academic journals. He's a teacher who taught poetry at the University of New Orleans. He's a musician and a performer, having organized a band while still a Jesuit, and later forming a successful local band called the Benjamin. And Jim McCormick is a songwriter who embraces the creative process as his way of translating God's creation around him. This past year has been a very good year for Jim, as two of his songs reached the #1 spot on the Billboard Country Chart, Jason Aldean's Take a Little Ride and Brantley Gilbert's You Don't Know Her Like I Do. Other artists who have recorded Jim's songs are Tim McGraw, Luke Bryan, Randy Travis, Trisha Yearwood, Trace Atkins, Jamie Johnson, and Ronnie Millsap. Jim recently released a new album of his own, The Middle of the River. Copies are on sale in the foyer for the low price of $15. Just kidding. Seriously, Jim has been an active alumnus, returning to his alma mater whenever asked to help in any way, such as today. Jim and his wife, Jenny Rose, have 2 sons. Please give a warm welcome from the class of 1986, Jim McCormick.
Stacking it all up, can't wait for the sun to go down. Roll into town, shine your truck up, swing by the quick stop, grab a little shiner bar, and ease on out your way, your place, round here a while. Yeah, I'm just ready to ride this Chevy down a little dirt road, slide your pretty little cell phone over, get a little close to you, play my radio, put your pretty pink toes on the dash, lean the seat back. Man, I swear there ain't nothing looks better than that sweet tame little thing with nothing to do. I want to take a little ride with you. That song was a #1 song on country radio last fall for 3 weeks. It had the biggest first week sales of any country song ever. And it's the result of a 10-year story that I'm going to try to share with you this morning. I've always thought that the greatest gift that I've been blessed with in my career as a songwriter is not whatever talent I've been given. It's not the work ethic that I learned at Jesuit or at the universities after. The greatest gift that I've been blessed with, and that I hope you seniors will find in your lives, is a genuine love for a kind of work. For me, that work is writing, and in particular, songwriting. The fact is, I wake up every day still interested, still eager to go work and discover something new in my effort to write something beautiful. But how did I get here? The poet Billy Collins says of his writing process that he uses his pen like a flashlight. Albert Einstein said of his process that he groped in the dark. Both of these men are telling us something about creativity and the imagination. Both of them are telling us to stay open to an outcome that is likely to be something we have not already thought of. That's what I'm going to talk to you about today. An outcome in my life that I had never thought of. And how your life ahead may likely be very different from the way you think it will go. And how that can be a wonderful thing. I sat where you are in 1986, over 25 years ago, and I felt many of the same things you are feeling today. While you were at Jesuit, I hope that you listened closely to your parents, your teachers, and the priests. You may not know for years to come, maybe decades, why they steered you in the directions that they have. And perhaps only then will you appreciate their guidance. But they have offered you the chance to benefit from their years of experience and mistakes. I hope you've been listening. Because now the voice that needs listening to the most is your own heart. But beware, more than all other voices, it is the hardest to hear clearly. You'll think it's saying one thing, but don't be so sure. It will change its tune, and you'll need to listen closely again and again to understand what new thing it is telling you. And you may still not understand it for a long time. In his letters to a young poet, Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Be patient to all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Do not seek the answers, which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. Live the questions for now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live someday into the answer." My heart told me I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't know what kind of writer I was going to be. I expected I would be a journalist or a poet in the university system. And I can't say that there was one lightning moment. There were many. Some of them were at Jesuit, like when I joined the staff of the literary magazine, or when some fellow classmates asked me to be the lead singer of a rock band, or when I heard the words of the great teacher Bob Ficus, trying to guide me to a better life and a better understanding of myself. I went to Georgetown University, and I studied business, but I took one English class and with one of the greatest teachers I've ever known, Roland Flint, and it changed my life. It lit me on fire for language. Flint conducted a poetry writing workshop that was like nothing else I had ever been in. It led me to think that I had a skill with words and something to develop. I switched my major immediately to English, and I graduated eventually with an Academy of American Poets Prize. After graduation, I started another rock band, much to my dad's despair. He's okay with it now. The band and I wrote songs, we traveled all around the country, we had a great time, and we worked very hard at it. And while I was there, I earned a Master's of Fine Arts at the University of New Orleans in poetry. I was teaching English composition and publishing poems. I was happy, and I was productive. Later, the band broke up. Graduate school was done, and I worked as a journalist, editing a trade magazine. I had what is called security, and I was miserable. One of the things I always thought that I would do, journalism, was not satisfying me. And I was afraid that I would not find a life of meaning and happiness there. My heart was trying to tell me something. So I listened. And only then, when I was 31 years old, did I make a turn toward considering songwriting as a career. I could now see how it might fit into my life, how it would fit into the path I had been on. And I fell in love with professional songwriting. I fell in love with it like I fell in love with poetry in Roland Flint's class all those years ago. And for the first time, I chased a dream with only faith and love in my heart. I was happy. Why am I telling you all this? Because I want you to know that it works out well. That if you're honest with yourself and you work very hard, it can work out very well. Don't be afraid to chase the thing you love. We all want to be the best, but you'll be hard-pressed to be the best at anything you don't love. It's going to take a lot of grit. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen without commitment beyond anything you've ever accomplished. It will not happen just because you graduated from Jesuit. You are, however, more likely to make it happen because of Jesuit. Jesuit helped me build the confidence to do with my life exactly what I wanted, to dare to imagine a life that I would love, and to commit to creating that life.
rather than follow some predetermined path that I might have clung to had I not been given the tools that Jesuit gives us. Now that you've been given these tools, I hope that you will dare to imagine a life that you will love and that you can commit to creating such a life. I hope you will have the grit and the determination to stay with the thing you love. During the years that require grit, when you are doing whatever you have to do for however long you have to do it, when you are poor by comparison to others and without recognition, fortify yourself for the challenge that low status will pose to your sense of self-respect. This is the period of life in which most men give up their dream. Abraham Lincoln said, "Things come to those who wait, but only those things left by those who hustle." Along the way, during all the years of hustle and grit, when you're getting your teeth kicked in and you have to keep smiling, at least during those years, if you love what you're doing, you will continue to work at it. If you can identify what you love during this life, you are fortunate to find some way to synchronize it with a way to make a living, then you've hit one of the jackpots in life, I believe. Let me say that randomness will play a big role in it, more than most of us want to admit. You won't be able to avoid it, but you can safeguard yourself against chance by hustling and working hard. Luck favors the prepared. Try not to measure yourself against your peers. Keep your eyes on your road ahead, and at all costs, avoid the voices of envy. You sitting here this morning, I urge you to be open to the path leading you further than you've ever dreamed. Let yourself be guided by your passions and talents and true loves, but most importantly, let yourself be guided by your moral compass. Your career is but one piece in the puzzle of building a life of meaning and happiness. I encourage you to be kind always and do the right thing. A life of serving others, which is, I believe, where true meaning will be found, is not a me-first activity, it's a me-last activity. Men for others, as we proudly claim to be, does not mean men for each other, for those who are similar to us. You will be called upon to be charitable and generous to those who are very different from you. Keep imagination and creativity close. They will help you honor and love those who are different. You know, as I grew older, my dad and I used to joke that the older I got, the smarter he got. You'll find this to be true of Jesuit High School. And as you do, give back to her. Return the favor and the grace that she has given you. One last thought. The great poet Jane Hirshfield says, "There is only one real reason to read a poem, and that is to find your way to a larger life than otherwise you would be living." This is the only reason to write a poem also. All the other reasons a poem might come to exist, as a courtship gesture or the desire to communicate to effect some change because it's been requested of you, they have their place, but they are bits of bait laid in the mousetrap, or the lion trap, if you will. Because what a good poem, a real poem, catches is not mouse-sized. It's the size of your own life and death. Before reading a good poem, we are one kind of person. After reading it, we are another. That is what the next chapter of your lives will be like for you. One big good poem. Let yourself be changed. Let yourself be made better by it. Welcome to that chapter of life Jesuit High School has prepared you for.